Hi guys, welcome to the first episode of our podcast. What's out there? These are my co-hosts, Elijah and Evans. I am KF4. Today we're going to interview our good friend Elijah
Howdy,
because he is a two times heart transplant
recipient.
person.
Recipient.
Yes, thank you. Um, so he's a two-time heart transplant recipient, and he's gone through a lot of challenge in his life. So today, me and my friend Evans are going to interview him.
Yes, sir.
Welcome, Elijah.
Hi. Yeah. By the way,
Yeah,
for those who might be confused, I am also a co-host. So I'm not a guest. This is the three of ours podcast. Me, Flux, and KF4, or Evans,
yes,
whatever you want to call him.
Evans. Evans
This is
is
gonna just go to LDE, so everybody knows Evans Flux. I mean, and everybody
probably put.
pretty know
Yeah.
it's gonna go on YouTube, but everybody pretty much knows the basics of my story. Not as much detail.
I mean, you should
Mhm.
still should. So I actually don't know much about. I know that you've had two heart transplants, but when did you have your first heart transplant?
All right, good question. August
Ooh.
31st, 2014.
Oh wow.
Why did you need the heart transplant? I actually don't know any of this.
I had a genetic heart disease called hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. It came from my dad's side. My older brother has it. My older brother is the last living person alive with the disease, actually. So both
Wow,
him
that
and I.
is.
It's so hypertrophic. Or were you about to ask what it was?
Yeah, no,
Uh,
no, keep going.
okay. Hypertrophic cardiomyopathy is where the wall of your heart gets too thick because
Oh,
your
wow.
heart's a
Oh wow.
muscle, right?
Yes.
So
Mhm.
when your heart's thicker, it beats harder. Okay. So what happens to muscles when you work out? Right? They get bigger. Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. That's a bad thing for your heart, anyways.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
so
Yes, I can see the issue.
yeah. So what happens is the your body starts not to get enough adequate blood flow, and then the heart can actually transition or reform itself into end stage heart failure, which then turns into dilated cardiomyopathy. And
Oh,
so when you work at a muscle, it depletes first, and then it comes back stronger, right?
Yeah.
yes.
The heart doesn't come back stronger when you work out the muscle and you work it and work it and work it and work it, and then you finally go into end stage heart failure. The muscle in the wall of the heart is actually very thin. Like, imagine. So the way some of my doctors and the people around me have described that type of heart beating is imagine a wet plastic bag trying to move. That's how similar it is. Your heart's supposed to be
Hmm.
strong. When it's like on a table, it's not supposed to droop. It's supposed to stay strong. It's supposed to keep its shape. These hearts droop, and they're they're not good. I actually have pictures of both my new heart and the old heart. um,
That's trippy to
That
think about.
I
that that is
know,
that is
I know, I
that
know.
That is
horrifying to
so
think about.
fucked to
Actually,
think
I
about.
I
it's not
asked them. I was like, hey. If you could you take some pictures, please, doctor? Thank you.
Jeez, that
Can you
sounds
casually
wild.
take some pictures of my fucking heart, please?
Yep.
Thank you.
Just snip,
Pretty
snip,
much,
snip, snap.
dude. Yeah. Dude, when you're in my position, nothing's out of the realm of ordinary anymore. You know.
You
Honest.
were like you were like 10. You were like 10 when that first happened, huh?
The first heart transplant, but I have pictures when they did my second transplant. I have pictures of what my
Mhm.
old heart looked like in my chest and what the new heart looks like in my chest.
So is
And
this
there's a
like a genetic? Sorry,
Go ahead.
sorry.
No,
Keep
no, no,
going.
you're fine. You're fine.
This is like a genetic disease because you said your brother also had something
Yes,
similar to it.
yes. My
So
brother
did
has
your parents have it?
my dad. That's what my dad passed away from. End stage
Oh, I'm
heart
sorry
failure.
to hear that.
Uh, it was almost 4 years ago. Well, almost. Like a 3.5 years. Um, ish.
Sorry to hear that.
Uh, it sucks, but it is what it is. But it came from his mom, and my dad actually had sisters that died from it that I never was able to meet because of how
Oh,
young they died. They
oh, that's
died in
awful.
the 70s and 80s, actually, before they knew an incredible amount about this heart disease. And so one of my aunts, I believe it would have been, one of my dad's younger brothers, she was 16 at the time. I don't remember her name. But she was actually at Texas Children's Hospital in Houston, where I go to. But this was in the 70s or 80s. And she was getting seen because they knew she had the disease. Something was off, but they couldn't quite know what it was. She died on the regular doctor table, with the paper and stuff like that, just waiting for the doctor.
Oh,
she just randomly. Yeah, she was 16, and some of her family, which is also my family, tried to say that her heart exploded, which is like,
wow.
okay, no, that's not really how that.
Yeah, that just
no,
doesn't make sense.
It was the heart disease, hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, HCM for short. HCM. Yep. And so back, not a lot was actually known about this disease, and usually it's actually not a fatal disease. I can talk on and on. If you want me to just talk and talk and talk, I can.
Keep going.
This
is interesting.
But before it was called hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, which is its medical name, right? It explains what it is in medical terminology, in like its basic form. It was actually called something like idiopathic substenosis something. And I don't know why, but idiopathic means unknown, of unknown cause. So they were saying they know the wall gets thick, but they don't know why the wall gets thick. They don't know what's causing it. It just, you're born that way. But they started to figure it out, and then they changed the name, I think sometime in the 90s, to hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, which is obviously a better name.
Yeah.
And 1 in 500 people have hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, which is not a lot, but it's not uncommon either. What is uncommon is that you need heart transplants from them. 90%.
We've had two.
And I've had two. So
must be incredibly rare.
So have you ever heard of like football players randomly collapsing on the field, or soccer players accidentally dying?
Yes.
Or like
a
lot of the times the reason for it is actually undiagnosed hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, because it often goes undiagnosed, because sometimes people don't have symptoms of it until you become really ill, really sick. But what I was saying was 90% don't have problems. Maybe they need a pacemaker or ICD, which just stands for internal cardiac defibrillator. So it's just a defibrillator in your chest. Some people need these things called ablations, where they go and they burn off some of the muscle on the wall of the heart to not make it as thick, and it prolongs that heart, so you don't need like a transplant or something. They also have a myectomy, which I'm not exactly sure what that does. But I actually had an ICD pacemaker implanted at 8 years old. They took it out when I had my first transplant at 10. It did shock me. I was shocked by that. I was diagnosed at 4 years old.
Oh wow.
Yeah. This is gone. This is. They told my mom that I was not going to make it to my teen years.
So you're a medical.
You beat that shit down like a fucking baseball bat beating a rat.
These weren't the doctors I currently have, of course. This was in El Paso, Texas. El Paso doesn't have big time doctors. Now I'm in Houston though. We're in the fourth biggest city in America, one of the best medical centers in the world. George H.W. Bush came here for cancer. Things like that.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I didn't even know George H.W. Bush had cancer.
That's what he died from.
I had no clue.
George
H.W. Bush. Sorry.
Oh, right.
Herbert Walker.
Oh, right.
I normally call him George Bush Sr.
Or that works too.
Because I just don't think about him at all.
Yeah, I know.
I was like, George W. Bush isn't dead, what? And then I realized it said George H.
Yeah, But that's pretty interesting. So 90% of the people only need very little intervention, like a pacemaker and ICD, which aren't that invasive. They're invasive, but it's not a heart transplant.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be called life. Like life threatening.
Life or death.
Yeah, exactly.
A life or death.
If you like, you can put off getting a pacemaker and ICD. Like you can reschedule it. Can't reschedule a heart transplant. There's not like, I got an offer for a heart. I'll just wait next week and see if I get another one. I'm busy right now. There's none of that. You literally uproot whatever you're doing.
Sorry, I got a meeting at work.
Yeah, sorry, man. I'm fuck shit. I mean, I'm just doing whatever.
Hey, yo, my friend offered me some
concert.
fucking kangaroo.
Yeah, I'm going to a concert
in Australia, bro. I gotta dip. Maybe next week, call me up.
Taylor Swift,
I'll tell you if I'm busy.
Yeah.
Is,
five. Okay, no, I got that statistic wrong. Actually, 90% don't need anything, or maybe a medication. I believe 5% need pacemakers, ICDs, or 4% need pacemakers, ICDs, things like that. No, I'm right. Sorry, I'm stupid. I'm right. The numbers in my head are weird. 90% don't 90. Okay, I don't know what's going on. I'm having kind of like a brain fart.
It's just
you got this.
Yeah. So 90%, I believe, you have a minimal intervention. All right.
Okay.
I have minimal. 5%. It's a little more. 95%. I mean, 5% of the people have a little more problems. 1% of people who have hypertrophic cardiomyopathy only need transplants. Only 1% of the people.
And you're one of the 1%.
I'm one of the 1%. My older brother will need a transplant. My dad, unfortunately, needed a transplant. We got a very malignant version of this disease. It's usually not this harmful. It's usually not this bad. But I had it the worst. Well, not necessarily the worst, because we don't know how far I could have made it without that first transplant. But I probably would not have made it 3 or 4 more years. I probably would have died at 12, 13, 14. That would have been a fair thing to say. Maybe even earlier, depending on the trajectory. But that's
crazy to think
that's
about.
the heart disease that came in my family. My brother and I could be the last people to ever have it, though. My brother is not having kids at all. None. Zero. Zilch. Not even a chance. And, you might say, oh, when he gets older. Dude's already 23. He's not having kids. But me, you would think because I had a heart transplant, I don't have the heart disease, technically. I couldn't give it, right? But because you can't change your genes and your DNA.
No, that seems like a very simple answer.
I can't change my genes, which means I still have a 50-50 chance of giving it to my child.
Oh, no.
So I could be the last person to ever. It's up to me now whether or not this continues. Obviously, it's not going to. I'm not going to risk that. I want to have a biological child, of course, but as of right now, we don't. It's not worth. I was a kid that was put through heart disease. I know how it affected me, and I would never, ever want that on anybody else. It's pain. It's suffering. It really is. Because a lot of the issues I struggled with as a child were I wasn't able to run. I couldn't run. There was no running. That was like a very big don't run. No, nothing. Don't do that. Like I could exercise, throw a football, but no running to catch a football. If I got short of breath, I needed to stop and catch my breath. And I would get short of breath just from walking. I would get short of breath from taking 10 or 15 steps. That's how bad heart failure can be. And just how this all happened when I was 10. I mean, my younger brother is gonna turn 10 this year, and I see it? No, different. No,
thank God.
It's just technically now the only people who can pass it are me and my older brother, just us. That's it. So and my older brother again isn't going to have kids. He's probably going to get a vasectomy sometime soon. He has it medically. He can do it because he can say, okay, I don't want any risk of giving heart disease to anybody. So they will medically, like insurance will cover it.
Mm-hmm.
So it does again fall on me. So and of course I wanted 2 biological children. Like okay, thanks.
Yeah. Rip.
Okay,
that sounds like a cold incident, but really sad. It's sad to hear that. Sad to hear that. Right to hear that.
Yeah, it's
Always adoption. I know biological, but always adoption.
There's always adoption. I believe my girlfriend and I we've been together for 2 years, a little over 2 years now. So she's gonna be moving in with me next month. So we talked about this.
Very nice.
Congrats,
very nice.
congrats.
You know, so we're gonna do. So what we're gonna do, hopefully, if everything, we'll adopt 1 child, and we'll sperm donor the other one. So we can help out like foster care, take a child from foster care that might be struggling, like an orphan, right? And we can also, my girlfriend will be the biological mother, but I won't be the biological father, which I'm okay with. If you know how sperm donation works, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
okay.
we do.
Okay, I'm about to say I'm not letting a guy have sex with my girlfriend.
Yeah, no,
I just want to be clear. I'm not a cuck. Not a cuck.
Yeah, no. You know, I used to think that, like, whenever I first heard about it when I was like really young, I used to I was like, why would he let someone do that?
Yeah,
like,
yeah, for sure.
Well, my parents always watched the show Friends, so I was given from a young age the ability to figure out, because that was actually like a plot point in the show. Someone gets a sperm donor. So so I've watched, and since I was watching it a lot as a child, I knew from a young age what sperm donation was.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's fair. Where was I going with this? Oh! This is unrelated, but it's on the topic of sperm donation. Did you know they can freeze sperm up to 55 years?
Oh my god!
So technically, I
55?
could. Yeah, up to 55 years. I read certain places have different like
methods.
Yeah, and procedure and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
55 years.
55.
Yeah, so like imagine you're like 30 and have a sperm donor. Technically, the sperm that they're fertilizing in you could be older than you.
Anyway, so 55 years.
55.
How do you even do that?
Freeze it. That's literally it. You just freeze it.
That reminds me of the lady who wants to freeze her body when she dies. So then whenever they can take a chip from your brain, put your brain in a different body. She's fucking crazy. She's a fucking
Speaking of brains in different bodies and hearts in different bodies, on top of that, you got a second heart transplant.
I did.
And
I did.
Why did you need the second one?
All right, that's a good question. So, around December 2020, around Christmas time, Christmas Eve, actually.
I remember that.
Yeah. Actually,
we were talking.
I've known Flux since then.
I've known Flux since January 3rd or 2nd. I really don't know long.
I've known Flux now since late October, I believe, or early November.
Yeah. It's been a long time.
Well, I was kicked out of the main server that we were in, so I had no way of contacting him until I was invited to another affiliate server that we happen to both be in.
Anyway.
Yeah. But it was Christmas Eve, and I was with my mom because this is 2020, by the way, so COVID is still ravaging. Before vaccine, before
that was around the time the first vaccines came out.
Yeah, but not for the public yet. It was for
that was actually around the time that the first vaccines came out for the public, December, Christmas.
Really?
Really?
Yep, first couple.
That's great.
I thought it was in January.
It went to healthcare workers, right? Like nurses and doctors.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Of course.
When you were in the hospital, we were still kind of talking sometimes.
Yeah.
Off and on. And we were talking, and I was talking to you about the phases that they were doing because I saw in the news.
Yeah. So actually, I was supposed to. Here, I'll say this, and then I'll get on to why I had the second transplant.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually supposed to have my first vaccine late December. I was in that category, like severely immune suppressed category, like the category of like the 90-year-olds. I didn't get my vaccine though, and I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why in a second. It'll make sense. So Christmas Eve, I was with my mom at her house because normally I had been staying with my grandmother because of COVID. It was just safer because they ordered groceries versus going out to get them like in the store. We like had them delivered.
Yes.
So I was staying with my mom for that night because it was fucking Christmas, right? Like, you know, I mean.
Yeah, I got it.
I started. Have you ever had a heart palpitation? You know what a heart palpitation is?
Yeah, probably yes. I have. I have a heart condition too.
Oh,
wow.
It's not at all major, really. It's
my girlfriend has a heart condition too.
I really forgot the name of it. That's how minor it is. I only had to deal with it when I was younger, and I technically still have to go to. I still have to get it like a heart check a couple.
I'm gonna name a disease. Tell me if it sounds familiar. Mitral valve prolapse.
No.
Okay. All right.
It was like it was like something with the valves, like a buy.
Oh, you had a leak. You have a leaky valve?
No, something like a bicuspid valve, so.
Oh, your bicuspid. Okay, that's a valve. So is your bicuspid valve having issues?
So, a bicuspid or aortic valve.
I know what a bicuspid valve is.
Obviously, you are. You're like most people have 3. I only have 2. It has 3 flaps.
And so you were just born without the third one?
Yeah.
Does it still affect you to this day?
Kind of, but not barely.
Are you like limited? Like, is there certain exercises?
Not really. I used to be I can't do as much. It's complicated. So I went to the doctor recently during this year, and they just said I can't do like insane amounts of actually insane, not like just like a 50 or 100 push-ups, like an insane amount of exercise. But that's the only limit. I used to have a lot of trouble with it when I was younger, though.
Makes sense.
So it's mild, but
my girlfriend.
I used to go to cardiologist for it.
That makes sense. Yeah, I got you. My girlfriend has mitral valve prolapse, and it's really minor. Basically, so you have 4 valves, right? You have the tricuspid, the bicuspid, the mitral, and there's one more, I believe.
Mitral? I don't know about that one.
Yeah, no, they're the mitral valve. I'm confident in that one.
I'm really not very certain with much heart stuff. I just know I barely even knew about my own heart issues.
Yeah, and I'm teaching you about mine.
Yeah.
Tricuspid, pulmonary. That's the one I was missing.
Tricuspid's is the normal. I think tricuspid's normal.
Yeah,
the tricuspid, so. And then
there's an aortic valve.
The mitral valve is the bicuspid.
There's the aortic valve, not the bicuspid. It's tricuspid.
It's bicuspid aortic valve.
Yeah.
No, I just said. Didn't I say that like 2 minutes ago?
Did you?
I just shorten it. I don't say aortic because I'm not a fucking nerd.
Fair enough.
I just shorten it. But bicuspid aortic valve. No, I know. That is. It's usually. I think tricuspid aortic valve is the normal, or the tricuspid is the normal one. I'm not entirely sure about it, but I know.
Yeah, try 3 by 2. Yeah.
Yes, by 2. We're all a little bi sometimes.
We're all a little bi sometimes. I mean, have you not fucking seen Ryan Reynolds? Holy shit!
Oh my god, Ryan
Reynolds.
Okay, all right. What I was saying.
Canadian, unfortunately.
Is he?
Canadians.
Oh, lame. Yeah, but
Born in Vancouver.
He's one of those people though where you can kind of like forgive it. Like, all right. Like Ishi, you can forgive being a fucking Brit. You know.
Man.
It's the same thing.
Anyway, on track.
And let's
get back on track.
Flux. A heart palpitation is your heart skipping a beat. That's what it is. It misses. So it's like didn't. It misses a beat. It's not dangerous unless it's consecutive or you have symptoms of it. It's really common.
People have
it's incredibly common. If you have too much caffeine that day and you didn't get enough sleep, even a normal person with a normal heart might have a heart palpitation.
Oh fuck! Yeah, I've definitely had a heart palpitation.
Yeah, it feels like there's a flutter. Yeah, that makes sense. It feels like there's a flutter in your chest, in your throat, like it's like trying to flip, but it's not trying to flip. It just feels weird.
Sometimes I feel like I get stabbed in my lungs.
Oh, I think everybody gets that. It's like in like the left side of your like chest.
I don't know. I think so. Near my heart, around there.
Okay, you might be having a heart attack.
No, not like not. Not right. I would have had a heart attack many times.
You're a professional. You're a legend at this.
I have a heart attack on my.
Dude, I've had like 700 heart attacks. I'm a pro.
Yeah, fantastic. So I was having what I thought were these heart palpitations, and heart palpitations can be a symptom of something bigger, like heart failure, so on and so forth, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I had really bad anxiety about my medical situation for that reason, and I chalked it up to my anxiety because I had been told that a lot. I'm on anxiety meds. I have a therapist, or I need to get a therapist. Things like that. I just have really bad anxiety. I have since I was 8. Actually, I was diagnosed when I was 8. It's crazy. It's crazy being an 8-year-old being told you need a heart transplant and being shocked by a defibrillator. Yeah, it gives you anxiety.
Oh God. Yeah.
But I chalked it up to anxiety for days. And it wasn't like a one heart palpitation. It was consistent. It never went away. And I always just chalked it up to anxiety. So on Christmas Day, I was really tired and felt sick, felt bad. And that's a symptom of heart rejection. Heart rejection is where, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's in the name. My body attacks the heart because it sees it as a foreign object. I'm on immunosuppressants, that's being immunocompromised. That's why I'm immunocompromised. Okay, cool. We're good. So, on Christmas, I'm really sick, right? Coughing, sneezing, really tired. I don't feel good. Like, I've got a head cold. Everything feels foggy. Just like I've got a cold, right? So I'm like, oh, okay, those two probably coincide. I'm probably just dehydrated. Because dehydration also can do that to you so easy. One of the biggest things to do it. I drank a lot of water. Nothing. That didn't help. Nothing. And I felt sick. I remember I felt sick. Flux can back this up because I remember talking to him. So
we were like trying to figure out what it was.
Yeah, I know. I was
COVID.
I was more worried about having COVID at that point because rejection didn't even come to my head until one moment. And I'll get to that moment. But I went back to my grandmother's house, and my bedroom is up a flight of stairs, up a staircase. And usually I wouldn't have problems with that. I wouldn't have no shortness of breath, no lightheadedness. But this time, I was unusually short of breath. I chalked that up to gaining weight because I had started to gain weight, which is also relevant. I had started to balloon in weight. I went from like 190 pounds, which is around normal.
How tall are you?
I'm 6'1".
Oh wow, I'm about that too.
Yeah, so granted that's not perfect weight, but that's not far
190
off.
and 6'1" isn't good.
It's not bad. It's not bad.
I'm like 220 something in.
Right. Okay. And then I ballooned up to 240, but I had been kind of going into a depression.
And how many days?
It took a little while. It wasn't like a fast progression, but it is relevant to the story. And I had noticed it back in like October. And I had noticed it. Yeah, I know. Hindsight is 2020. But it was all related.
Yep.
And so I was gaining weight, but I went through like a depression patch. So I figured, okay, it makes sense, right? Like it lines up. Depression and weight gain are very hand in hand. And so, okay, cool. Whatever, all good. I had just had a procedure done to make sure my heart wasn't rejecting in October. All good. I was helping my uncle move in October and November, and I felt like I was getting unusually short of breath. But again, I chalked this up to me gaining weight and me being less active. Because, it's not too crazy of a thought to think that, oh well. But from December 24th to December 28th, it was nonstop. These heart palpitations. It was.
That's scary.
Constant.
Scary.
I didn't feel good. I felt sick.
Our palpitations freak me out.
Yeah, they don't feel good. When it's just 1 or 2 in a row, it's like, yeah, that didn't feel good. They're scary, but it's not. They're not harmful. Anybody will tell you that, right? You know. You can do your own research. PVCs is what they're called.
Yep.
They're whatever. Doesn't matter. I don't even know that abbreviation, acronym, whatever. But from those December 28th, I was talking to Flux in the morning, and I felt sick. I had a cough, and he could hear it. You know, like I told him, I debated going to the ER that day. I didn't.
Yeah, we were like kind of
we talked about it, but I didn't because I started to feel better as the day went on. So I went outside and did sprints. Okay, I did full sprints with my brother, playing football because I can run. I was able to run, right? Well, without heart failure, but I did full sprints. Like I was moving insane, like 40, 50, 60, 70 pound boxes. And so December 29th, I wake up that morning. I feel awful. One of the symptoms of heart failure is not being able to lay flat on your back because there's fluid in your lungs because your heart's not pumping correctly. So the fluid that normally should be pumping is backing up into your lungs and causing issues. Shortness of breath, things like that. I woke up that morning and I couldn't lay flat because I just couldn't breathe. I felt like I was drowning. No. I felt like I was I felt like I was drowning above water. That's exactly what it feels like.
Wow.
You can ask anybody who's gone through it. It's identical to that.
Oh wow.
And I was like, fuck. I knew it. As soon as I knew it. That was the moment it clicked. Heart palpitations. It clicked. Although I was still, oh my god, it could be COVID. Hopefully. Even COVID would have probably, not better. COVID probably would have killed me. Like really fast. But I was thinking, oh, it's COVID. I can't breathe. Maybe that's why. Shortness of breath, heart palpitations, it affects the heart. Yeah. I'm thinking maybe it's COVID. I go to the ER. I didn't feel deathly at that point in time. I didn't feel like I was dying. I just felt like I had a cold. And so I went to the ER. My mom and I were talking about rejection, like it's not going to be rejection. I know that, right? I'm more worried about COVID. We get to the ER, they do an EKG.
Yeah.
A 12-lead EKG, and my heart is going from 70 beats per minute to 170 beats per minute, fluctuating from like 150 to like 90 to like 140 to like 85 to like every different beat. It goes up and down, up and down. And so what that can be perceived as, what that was. I'm still living. So this is in El Paso, by the way. I don't have the doctors. Yeah. I'm living in El Paso and not in Houston because my dad passed away, and that's where we're from. I was living in Houston when my dad passed away, but when he passed away, we went to El Paso. Okay. So I was in El Paso, who don't know anything about heart transplants. I mean, there are cardiologists there that, can sort of deal with it, but not specialists. Because a heart transplant doctor and a cardiologist are different, right? There's levels to it, right? Specialties. There's, a cardiologist doesn't do heart transplants. They refer you to a different doctor because it's a big deal. And they thought I was in VTAC. Have you ever heard of VTAC, ventricular tachycardia?
Maybe.
So what ventricular tachycardia is, it's a condition in which the lower chambers, I'm reading this, I know it, but I'm reading it so I can give you an accurate definition so I can help you understand. Yeah. It's a condition in which the ventricles of the heart, that's why it's called ventricular tachycardia, they beat faster than the top part of the heart. Mm-hmm. Not the top part. Well, yes, it is. And it's an abnormal, it's an arrhythmia. You're in an arrhythmia at that point, and it needs to be solved instantly. Or else, VTAC can turn into VFib. VTAC, you can be awake in. VTAC, I was awake in. VTAC isn't like you're in, that's not technically cardiac arrest. VTAC is dangerous because if sustained, if it lasts longer than a certain amount of time, VTAC turns into VFib, which is ventricular fibrillation. Ventricular fibrillation, that's cardiac arrest. That's when the heart is trying to pump, but it's not really pumping. It's more just like quivering. It doesn't pump adequately during VTAC, so it turns into VFib. That's dead. You're not awake for that. That's, oh shit, chest compressions, get the paddles, we gotta shock you. Oh my god. That's, if not done something in, 1 minute, your heart's stopped, you're dead, right? I never went into VFib. I never, not once did my heart stop during this. During any of this. Not once. Well, not really. But El Paso, the hospital I was at, I was life flighted from El Paso to Houston on a private jet. Because that drive from El Paso to Houston is 12 hours. So they had to life flight me, or else I was going to die. And El Paso was so clueless, they had to call Texas Children's and talk to my doctors in Houston. Because I would still travel every 4 months to come to Houston to still see my routine appointments every 4 months. Mm-hmm. And they talked to him, and they were like, give him lidocaine. Push lidocaine through his IV. Texas Children's told him that. And they didn't. Lidocaine numbs things, right? It's a numbing agent, like benzocaine. You can buy lidocaine over the counter, but this was obviously a stronger version. And it helps numb the heart, basically, and your heart's a muscle. And so lidocaine helps stop the arrhythmia and helps calm it down. And I was also put on milrinone, which is standard. Milrinone is a blood pressure support. It keeps your blood pressure up. It keeps your heart beating. It's a vasodilator, and it's important. It's basic. Milrinone helped keep me alive. I was on it 24/7 for most of the whole time. Okay, so I have arrived in Houston, and I'm still in what Houston diagnosed. It wasn't VTAC. It was atrial fibrillation, which means that's AFib. That's not as dangerous as VFib, but AFib is common. AFib is where the heart rapidly beats, but it's not flowing. There's not enough blood circulating around the body, but there's enough to keep you going. It can lead to stroke and heart failure because you're not pumping enough blood and not enough adequately. So it can form blood clots and heart attack, stroke, pulmonary embolism, things like that. At least 2.7 million Americans are living with AFib. They just, it's common. It's not that it isn't. But the way to treat it are the ablation I talked to you about, how they go and trim down the muscle of the heart, right? With it, like they burn it off, or something called a cardioversion. That's what they did to me. What a cardioversion is.
Who's gonna ask?
Were you gonna say something?
Yeah, no, I was just gonna ask, what is a cardioversion?
A cardioversion is where they take paddles, a defibrillator, put them on your chest, and just fucking shock you until your heart's beat normally again.
Oh.
Okay, but
that sounds awful.
I was asleep, to be fair.
Oh yeah.
It was emergent, like it was an emergency, like they needed to do it now. When I got there, you're in the room, zap, and then it got me out of that rhythm, and then I went into a
that's good.
better normal rhythm. This is the AM of December 30th. This is AM of December 30th now at this point. Which is my brother's birthday. Great.
Great.
I know. And so okay, and then I wake up. I feel great. My heart's not. I'm not having palpitations. So there was a point where it might have been legitimately VTAC, but it was likely from Christmas Eve to that point on, I was in AFib. I was having an arrhythmia, not heart palpitations. My heart literally was like how I felt it flopping. That's because it was sort of not flopping, but one side was it wasn't beating right. You know, it's an arrhythmia. It wasn't beating how it was supposed to. And so lidocaine also helps that. Milrinone helps things like that. The cardioversion helps that. It helps. So cool. Okay. Now the next step. Why is this happening? The most logical option is heart rejection. So immediately I'm put on 500 milligrams of steroids.
Holy.
Yeah, dude. Steroid rage, by the way, is a real thing. Is a real medical condition that I very much felt. So they did a biopsy. They take a little piece of the heart. That's what a biopsy is, and they test it to see if there's any rejection, what type of cells are in that around that piece of heart. And so I was in 3 different types of rejection: cellular, antibody, and eosinophilic. Cellular and antibody are the normal ones. Those get seen. Texas. You can even reverse the damage that those 2 types of rejection can do to the heart. You can reverse it. You can't reverse the eosinophilic damage. And so January 1st, let's go to like January 31st or 1st. Now I'm starting to become a little more coherent, because at this point I've just been put to sleep, 4 or 5 different times. I was life flighted. I'm on incredibly heavy drugs.
I'm looking at your GoFundMe page from that time.
That's a good timeline actually to kind of.
I have this picture of you, which I will put in our group chat, which is from the 2nd, and you can tell that you were asleep for a long fucking time. It's loading. But I mean, you were snapping back into reality at the time.
At that point is when I was starting to. Yeah. Because you can look at my face right there, and I'm like, that looks totally unpleasant.
What the fuck?
Right?
You look like you're dying.
Yeah, it's because I was. To put it lightly. So.
Yeah.
That's scary. Could never imagine going through that.
It is what it is, I guess.
Here's the link for the GoFundMe.
Thank you. Okay. Actually gives me a decent timeline.
Zach, that's right.
Elyjah is my birth name on my birth certificate. Elyjah. My middle name is Zakai. Zakai. That's why people call me Zach. My mom calls me Zach. My parents call me Zach. Everybody calls me Zach. Even my doctors call me Zach. But I go by, certain people call me Elyjah. My girlfriend calls me Elyjah. Y'all call me Elyjah. So, that's that. So there's that. My name. And so, let's go back in the timeline. Yeah, January 2nd. Okay. So it's saying I'm getting my 2nd dose of plasmapheresis. What that is, it's kind of like dialysis for the kidneys. They take the blood from around my heart that's filled with the bad cells, the antibody rejection and the cellular rejection, and they pretty much clean the blood and just put it back. So it's technically not rejecting anymore. And I had multiple sessions of those, multiple. Lot. And that fixed the regular rejection. In terms of that, we were great. I was actually released from the hospital January 11th. Because they thought...
Yeah, I remember that. Because you were back for a while, and then you went away. I was looking at Discord messages.
Yeah.
And you were back for a good minute. But
yeah. So, they released me the 11th because they were saying I was all good and everything was better because they didn't realize the eosinophilic rejection had infiltrated and done that much damage. And so 4 days later, January 15th, I go back in because I can't put my clothes on without feeling short of breath. Right? That's obviously not right.
Yeah.
No,
that's not good.
That's not good. No.
That is not something.
All my numbers were so much worse that time. I was going to die that night if I didn't go into the hospital. So this was at nighttime, like 9 p.m. I was laying down trying to go to bed. I just every time I went to lay on my side, I was like, just not really able to breathe, and it just wasn't right.
Thank God you went to that fucking hospital.
Out of the bed, my judgment was like, okay. And I also felt really bloated, which will come back. The reason I didn't get the vaccines, the reason they didn't give them to me is because plasmapheresis wipes that out. And they gave me antibodies, monoclonal antibodies, and they gave me so many different antibodies, they wiped out all of it. So the vaccine would have been completely wiped out. I would have just had to get it again.
Yeah.
That's why they didn't do that. That's what I was talking about earlier.
All right.
But I would have died that night. If I would have fallen asleep, I would not have woken up. I was told that.
That's scary.
It's kind of surreal. My girlfriend pushed me to go. I appreciate her.
Yeah, she probably saved your life.
She saved. Oh yeah, absolutely saved my life. My mom saved my life by taking me. Doing what she could. The good people around me. My stepdad. I had good people around me. My stepdad helped my mom. Helped us move here to Houston by himself. Basically, did a lot for me and the family and everything.
Respect. Yeah, there is respect. Real respect.
Yep.
He's a real one, and he knows.
He's a real one. He actually tattooed #Zach Strong on his arm.
Oh my God, I love that man.
As did my mom. I can show y'all in the future. It's really pretty.
You guys,
but
that is a determined family.
Yeah. So at this point, I was in cardiogenic shock, which is, I'm basically just saying, my heart wasn't pumping enough blood to my other organs, and my other organs are starting to fail at that point. Because they only push the blood to what's completely necessary in heart failure. In cardiogenic shock, they can't even do that. It's life-threatening. It's an emergency. It's bad. It's bad. It's really bad. That night, January 15th, at like 2-3 in the morning, they decided they were going to do another biopsy. And it came back clean.
Oh.
Right? Weird. It came back
confusing.
I know.
Why did you?
Because the eosinophils didn't pop up on it. Because I wasn't in antibody or cellular rejection anymore. That wasn't the problem. It was the eosinophils that were the problem, and they needed to look at a different test for that, I believe. And so they were going to put in this device called an Impella 5.5. It's a heart pump. And basically, it literally goes inside your heart. And has a fan at the end, and it pumps the blood through your heart. It literally forces the blood through. So it
I remember that.
It increases the blood flow. Talking about that. Yeah. It increases the blood flow, but you can only be on it for so long because it also can damage the kidneys because it slices your red blood cells. It dices, and it's bad. It's not good. It's problematic. I was on that heart pump from January 15th to January 29th, I believe.
So this is kind of off topic, but not really. But this is kind of like backing up a bit. If you go down to January 4th, there's a picture, and it has that line going through your neck. Do you have scars from that? Like,
yeah, I do.
Yeah, because that looks intense. I mean,
oh, dude, you've got no idea.
That does not. The way you're looking at the camera too, you just did not.
I was.
Okay.
It was hard,
Yeah.
But during that time, if I hadn't gotten this Impella by 8 a.m. January 16th, which was technically the same day, technically the same day. Again, it was like January 15th going on into the 16th. I would have started to go hypoxic, which means there's not blood going to my brain. I would have started having brain cells would have started dying.
Oh,
and,
no.
And it literally would have been to that point. So they put the Impella in beforehand. They tried to give my heart a chance to recover, but it was a dumb idea. It was a dumb decision. Because they could have put the Impella in during the biopsy. And they said that was a possibility, but they never did. And they waited like another 3 hours. I don't know why. Even the nurses, the ICU nurses were like, I don't know why they waited. They should not have waited. At the end of the day, would it have changed anything? Probably no. No, it wouldn't have. But, it just is.
I mean, they were walking on the edge there.
Yeah. They're more than walking on the edge. I'm not walking on the edge. I'm holding to the ledge by my hands, and my feet are dangling, and I'm looking down at the ground like, oh my god. Wow.
And the doctors were just looking at you like, we'll wait a bit. We'll wait a bit.
Yeah, pretty much exactly. That's a great way of saying that.
We'll wait a bit to save you.
It just happened to be the cardiologist on call, or the heart failure cardiologist, the one that deals with stuff like this, on call. A different doctor might have done different things. So I'm not bashing Texas Children's.
Yeah,
they've saved my life twice, giving me 2 heart transplants. Yeah. They're literally number 1 in the world for a reason. I mean, they are.
You always watch like movies and stuff. It's sometimes reality is crazier than fiction. Like 2 heart transplants.
Yeah, it's
8 years.
You know what's cool? Have you know the show The Good Doctor about the autistic surgeon? Have you heard of it? At least heard of it?
Never actually heard of it.
No, I don't.
Well, you don't have to have watched it. Okay. Well, it's a doctor. It's a medical TV show like Grey's Anatomy, Scrubs, House. It's one of those, but it's newer. And they actually used an Impella, the same exact Impella, not because of me, but they released that episode while I was in the hospital on an Impella.
Oh.
So I was like, oh, damn. Wow, okay.
Damn.
Huh. So I was then ventilated for a week to allow my heart and lungs to... What being ventilated does is it takes the pressure off the heart and kind of just... It does the job for it. There.
Yeah.
It literally kind of lets the heart go into hibernation for the time being. And so it helps the oxygen because you're obviously pumping so much oxygen with a ventilator, right? So this is crazy. I mean, imagine how much oxygen a ventilator is pushing in your body, and people are still dying from COVID while on a ventilator. It's just something that came to my head while saying that.
That is.
But
wow, I'm taking a look at this GoFundMe for a second. You got $8,000. You got a lot of people.
I did. It's amazing.
190 donors.
You can, if you scroll down to some of the comments.
Toad donated. Box donated.
Bat donated.
Other people, a lot of people donated.
Yeah.
I know.
Bat's mom, actually, the biggest bat.
Yeah.
I know her, but I don't know her actual name.
I'm not gonna dox that.
No, yeah, exactly. You shouldn't.
Yeah.
Bat's mom actually not only donated, but Bat deals with a heart disease themselves, or did deal with a heart disease, and their mom is from the Houston area, so she knows the charities around us. She knows, which we do too, but she knew some cool things, and she gave us charities. She helped us get involved with these things. They actually called my hospital room to see how I was doing. Very, very cool.
I remember you talking about that. Yeah, I mean, they're just a really cool family.
I'm forever grateful for everything everybody has done. Toad announced the GoFundMe and their announcement on LTE, which I can go back and look at it and take a picture of it. But they made an announcement.
LTE what?
That's what I was looking for.
LTE. LTE.
I was looking for an LTE.
Main
one. I've been banned from LTE for till my birthday, next birthday. So, yeah.
Yeah. But
underage.
Yeah. How old?
I gave Elyjah
15, and I am okay.
I joined before that rule became a thing.
I thought you only had to be that old to run for president. Oh,
this
is LTE. This is LTE. This is LTE.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah, LTE.
Anyway.
LD is for like the two people who aren't from LD. LD is a political mock government service.
Let's do elections. Yeah.
Yes.
So I was ventilated for 7 days. Actually longer altogether. But from this point, I was ventilated for 7 days straight. This wasn't like one day this, one day that. Straight. And let me tell you, there's this thing called ICU delirium. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. But it's real. 2 in 3 people have it. It's often those who are ventilated in dark rooms, who haven't been outside, who are on mind-altering drugs like opioids or benzodiazepines, and so things like that. And it's real. It's real to the point that this happened to me. So this is while I was ventilated and after I had already been unventilated. Also, I was ventilated with the Impella and IVs all in my body, and I was able to get up and fucking walk. And that ICU nurse told me that they've never had that happen, not once, and they do it so often. I was able to walk with a ventilator in my throat, an Impella in my chest, and IVs everywhere. I think that's pretty cool. I'm proud of myself for something like that. I know I'm mentally strong in that aspect, but I'm glad I was able to get to that point. Okay, the point is, I was also on a lot of fentanyl, which is the drug.
Yes, that's according to some conservatives, the George Floyd. It was really George Floyd.
Yeah, sure. Totally wasn't. I don't know, the knee on the back of the neck. I don't know. It's crazy.
No.
Crazy thought, right? But
crazy.
Fentanyl. You can be addicted. You get addicted to easy, right? You can get addicted to any opioid easy, but fentanyl's extremely easy. All it takes is one dose. But you have to be on a strong opioid like that or a sedative in order to be ventilated, so you don't pull it out and so you don't feel it. You have to be. This wasn't by choice. This wasn't by. It was automatic. I didn't. And when they were weaning me off the fentanyl, because you have to be weaned off of it. They had to give me a different drug, I believe, or they had to do something else because my body had become physically dependent on that drug. You know how when you think of the stereotypical addict, you think they like twitch, right? Can't sleep, and they twitch in their sleep, right? They like jerk themselves.
Something like that.
I was having those problems. No. I was like trying to close my eyes, and my leg would literally not just like not an inch or two. My leg would literally move a good 2 or 3 feet. It was bad, and so I was literally addicted to fentanyl. Another thing, while I was ventilated because of the ICU delirium, I hallucinated, and
I remember that. That was
not good. Well, some were good. I saw a lot of cats and dogs, but I hallucinated Pennywise.
Wasn't there one with like bugs on the wall or something?
Yeah, I hallucinated. That was the first thing. Like there were ants all over the wall, everywhere, on me, everything, on everything.
That would have been terrifying.
Oh, man, yeah. Well, I'm not done yet. I'm laying in my bed, right, and I mind you, I'm awake with this ventilator, right. I have a whiteboard that I'm able to write on to tell them what I want because you obviously can't talk. And I'm sitting there, and some nurse is in my room, and I look to the right, and there's a fucking dead girl in my bed.
Oh God!
Like a literal ghoul, and she's making these noises like, and she's trying to touch my hand. And what's even more fucked up, hallucinations are fucked up because they're real in your head, and that means when they're real in your head, you can touch them and feel it. So like I touched this quote quote dead girl when in reality I was just touching nothing. But like I felt this cold, dead skin. And
horrifying.
Yeah, no. Like literally had to like like need therapy for. Like it was bad. I thought Pennywise was out to get me. It, the clown. I also, you know how you've seen people wake up in a hospital and they're like, "Where am I? What happened?" Right? I've had that happen. I had that happen to me. Like, where am I? What? I thought my mom was dating a girl for some reason. I don't know.
So going on about.
Yeah.
Why did you? I don't think we've actually gotten to it. Why did you need to say? We know why, but when did you get the second?
March 2nd.
And maybe I've. March.
Yeah. I think it's. I mean, it's just crazy how you got into the hospital on July 1st, and you made it with a heart that barely fucking works, if not doesn't work, until March 2nd.
To clear up what you said, January 1st.
January 1st.
Okay, Vader.
I said January.
Vader.
He said July.
Like, Vader. It's like a suit that barely works.
Yeah, pretty much. It just is. It's like your controller with low batteries. Pretty much.
Every
like,
now and again it just fucking doesn't work. You're like, yeah. And you just want to throw it across the room.
God damn.
It's like that's gonna die soon, but it's not dead yet.
It's like you don't want to go do it.
That was exactly the position I was in there in the middle of January. Like it's gonna die soon, but you just don't know when, right?
Yeah.
Unless you replace the batteries. That's actually a really good explanation.
Exactly.
Like it's gonna die. That's
weirdly good.
That's oddly good.
That shouldn't work like that. Like
yeah, for sure.
You shouldn't be able to compare a heart transplant to a controller with the batteries that's dying. I mean, technically, your brain is your controller of your body.
Your heart is think of your brain as like the computer, and your heart's the engine. Your brain is what's doing all of the, because there are computers in cars.
So like, who?
Oh yeah, that woman in that picture does look German.
What picture?
On the latest update, March 3rd.
That's my mother.
You cannot tell me she does not look. She does not have that German look.
That's my mom.
That's it. Rah.
Oh, never mind. Wait,
that's my.
That's your mom. Who's taking the photo?
My brother.
Oh, that one makes
sense.
Right,
they were. Go ahead.
Did someone older than you give you the transplant?
We don't know. I don't know who gave me the transplant. I don't know anything about him. I don't know how they died.
You know how old the first person was, though.
Yes, I do. How do you remember things like that, Flux? Damn.
I remember our friendship very.
Yeah, I was about to say, what a fella.
Flux is a dummy thick brain.
Like what a dude. Yeah.
My brain only remembers the most random things.
Yeah,
but they can be important.
So.
But those things I care about.
Oh, I appreciate you. So my first transplanted heart. So technically, I've had 3 hearts in my chest. One I was born with, first transplant, second transplant.
Technically, you have that 3. 3 hearts. I've had one. I've had 1 heart in my chest, and that's obvious. But to be fair, it's not a normal heart. It's a
all mothers had 2 hearts. Anyone who has given
I'm not shoving anyone out of my dick, Flux.
Anyone who has given birth to a baby has had 2 hearts inside them.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
I mean, yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Very
it's like transplanting a heart formed in your body to another body. Holy shit!
So the first heart was a girl. So I actually had a girl heart in my chest.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Elyjah comes out as transgender. Question mark! Exclamation mark! Question mark!
There was a point where I thought so. But
really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I figured out that was not me, and so here I am now. But I don't know how they died. I do know one interesting fact because they have to legally tell us. It was a girl. She was 14. Legally, this heart. Huh?
14. Yeah.
I was 10, but we were the same size.
Yeah.
It's not based on age. It's based on size. Obviously, they're not going to give a 70-year-old an 18-year-old. You know.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, this heart was technically high risk because the only thing I know about this girl is that she had been in juvie. That's it. And they were like, "So do you not want to take it?"
And I was like, bitch, I'm gonna take.
No, I want the heart. Give me the heart.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
So and with this second heart transplant, I don't know anything. I don't know if it's a dude. I don't know if it was the age. I don't know if I don't know.
They didn't tell you anything.
So if they can't.
So let's say hypothetically.
Oh wow.
That this person's heart is older than you. Does that mean you could die earlier?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it does.
Or
does that mean that your body thinks you're like 23 now?
No, that's a funny joke.
Your heart is.
Technically, if my heart is over 21, does that mean I can buy alcohol? I mean,
ooh, damn, no, because it's your brain, you know what?
That they always say, as long as your heart is in the right place.
Right.
As long as your heart is in the right place. Oh my god. In that case, it would be as long as your heart's in the right time.
Who wants to give me their 21-year-old heart? For legal reasons, that is a joke.
Well, one joke I kept making in the hospital with all my nurses, I kept asking them their fucking blood type. Like, oh, hey, by the way, what's your blood type? I hope you don't crash on the blizzard on your way home. No, you're an organ donor, right? Cool. So, I also asked my doctors. Technically, it could have been a 35-year-old man. So I could have I mean, just to answer.
Oh my god! Do you know how many times that heart beated from Euphoria? Probably once. I don't know. 35-year-old equal version. Haha, I am funny.
But
aren't I funny, guys?
To
answer 35-year-old man equal virgin.
To answer your question, yeah, it makes me more likely to die because his heart is more worn out than like a 17-year-old with normal.
Yeah, that was my question.
But like, would I rather have like okay? So because I'm 17, I'm still at a children's hospital, but I'm the size of an adult. So
hey, look, I'm the size of an adult, and I'm like 4 years younger than you. So
I was the size. I was that size too. Don't worry about it. You're not special.
Don't have to. Yeah.
You're not special. Just kidding. But
based.
Shut up.
He said it's based to not be special. I mean, you guys would relate.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what are is there like any chance you need a third heart transplant?
Oh, I'm gonna need a third heart transplant. It's not an if, it's a when.
Why? Because this will keep happening?
Because rejection is inevitable, pretty much. Yeah, as of right now in our current medical landscape. As of right now.
So you might. So what is the most? I wonder what the most amount of heart transplants a singular person has ever had.
That's a good question. I'm not sure if there's a limit.
I'm gonna Google that.
I don't know if there's a limit. I honestly don't.
That is depressing that you're gonna have to keep getting heart transplants every 7 or 8 years.
Not necessarily 7 or 8 years. More so, it could be. I mean, listen. Technically, no. I could never need another transplant. Technically, it's possible. Is it unlikely? Incredibly unlikely. Is it near impossible? Yeah. But is it impossible? Technically not. No. Like one person is going like 35 years on their first heart, and like that's fantastic, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing.
So I hope if I can get 30 years out of the heart I have right now, I would be absolutely happy with that. Dude, if I live past 50, oh man, that's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean that would be a milestone in itself. I mean,
yeah, it it would. I'm not gonna make it to like 80. That's not a possibility. I'm not sad with that though. That's the thing. I've accepted that.
At least think about it like this. You are destined to do everything you want in your life because you know that, you had 2 heart transplants. It's impossible for you to live, until you're like 100. But that can give you a confidence boost.
See, we've got hope in the future about stem cell organs that don't reject, which are being currently developed. So by getting rid of abortions, you really fucked me over, Texas. Just say it.
Yeah.
Because where do you think stem cell comes from?
Wait till Nancy Pelosi does her radical 40-week abortion bill.
Just wait until all the SCOTUS is liberal. Actually, that might be
that
might be a while. That might be
the SCOTUS will all be liberal because there is a reality where once Texas turns Democratic, the Democratic president wins every time, and the Republican Senate wins every time for like 10 years. So no court.
That is
brings to like 3.
Yeah, that is. If Texas goes blue on the presidential level, it'll be completely red everything else.
Yeah. I mean, you can't have everything you want,
It's surprising that Arizona and Georgia are completely blue.
Yeah,
that's super weird.
In terms of everything except governors and coming for them in Georgia. No, I'm not like a Democrat myself.
Wait for Georgia's governor election, because that'll be a big one.
Is Stacey Abrams is running again?
I think she is.
If she does, she got the Trump endorsement. Trump said she'd be better than Brian Kemp today.
You know what? Maybe that's not a bad thing.
Maybe Trump is based? No.
Based and red-pilled?
Literally, no.
Yeah.
So it's been great having you on. Well, you're the co-host, but great hearing you talk about your story. It's
Thank you, I appreciate it.
2 heart transplants.
Yeah, I know.
Wild stuff.
I mean, it's a lot.
It happens. I'm alive though. So
you're alive. That is big.
I hope you get many years out of this heart.
I appreciate you, KF4.
Yeah.
Thank you, Elijah.
All right, ready? Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching, guys.
If you're watching, Box, fuck you. Ishi, we're cool. Vortex, put me on the fucking cabinet, bro. All right, bye.
Also,
bye.